Hello and welcome to our Universal Design for Learning Professional Development Training video. My name is Kristen Thompson-White and I'm the ESL teacher at Brighton Middle School. Today we're going to talk about the Universal Design for Learning model and how it can enhance your instruction with students to meet all modalities of learning. Today, teaching has become increasingly challenging with the varying backgrounds, cultural influences, and academic abilities that we face in every single classroom. Today, we're going to talk about the UDL principles and how they can help make the content both comprehensible and engaging for all of the students in your classroom. Today's training goal and objective. The goal of this training video is to not only give you basic knowledge of the UDL principles, but to also demonstrate simple opportunities to apply them during instruction. This applies not only to lessons that you create yourself, but also when using scripted, required curriculum that you teach on a daily basis. For our objectives today, we will be taking apart lessons from our WONDERS required curriculum and looking at simple ways to enhance the instruction by considering the UDL model. Oh no, what else do I have to do during my day at school? As teachers, we often wonder, how can I possibly add one more thing to everything else that I'm doing every day? Luckily with UDL, your lessons are already created with the WONDERS curriculum. Adding a few techniques to existing lessons can really help enhance the effectiveness of the teaching. So never fear. Making our lessons UDL friendly can be done informally or with minor improvisation most of the time. Making simple additions to existing lessons can cause them to be more student friendly, effective, and fun. We want to meet all multiple modalities of learning styles, and making simple additions and changes can help us to do that more effectively. Let's begin with the basics. If you have no prior knowledge of Universal Design for Learning, let's break it down. If you look at the terms individually, they can simply describe the meaning of Universal Design for Learning. Universal, used amongst everyone or in a multitude of situations. Design, how you create something, such as lesson plans. And learning, how we acquire new information. These three things put together make up the Universal Design for Learning model. We're going to continue to talk about that now. So, what is Universal Design for Learning? It gives children access to learning. The curriculum includes alternatives. It makes the curriculum accessible and appropriate. It emphasizes the unique nature of each individual, and it also addresses the awareness of the need to accommodate differences. Every classroom is faced with a myriad of different backgrounds, abilities, and learning styles. The Universal Design for Learning principles consider the differences in how people learn, and then provide a framework to give shape to lessons that can fit more students. Here's an example of something to consider as we begin to talk about UDL. Universal Design for Learning is all about the learner and meeting their unique and specific needs. Considering the classroom barriers is a great way to begin preparation for any lesson. And having a chart such as this one can be very helpful when choosing what activities would work to support your lesson. We work with many ESL students, exceptional education students, and students at different backgrounds. When we consider the things that we need to be aware of as we're planning instruction, it can really help us to enhance our lessons and make them more effective. Having a chart such as this filled out with most of your student needs can help you refer to this when you plan to make the best decisions for the lesson. So how can I apply UDL lesson planning to existing lessons or as I plan future instruction? As teachers, we constantly make accommodations for our diverse learners when it is necessary. When UDL is considered as a part of planning, it becomes more systematic and coherent for the students initially. resulting in more comprehensive input, less confusion, and less reteach. Let's look at a sample lesson plan template. As you can see in this lesson plan template example, many of the preliminary parts are exactly what we use in our traditional lesson planning. Materials needed, lesson objectives, standards and benchmarks, and anticipatory set. What's different about this is instead of doing a intro, middle, and end to a lesson, they categorize the 3 lesson body segments as means of representation, means of engagement, and means of expression. So what did you notice as you looked at the UDL model lesson plan template? The key difference to note between the template and traditional lesson plans are the 3 sections pertaining to the UDL principles. They are multiple means of representation, multiple means of engagement, and multiple means of expression. Lesson plans are the cornerstone of what we do as teachers. So finding out more about these 3 categories and what they can do to enhance your lessons can really make your instruction more effective. If you are a more visual learner, this chart can help. Look at the representation section. You'll see elements such as perception, symbols, and comprehension in this first phase of UDL. The second phase is the expression phase, which is the how of learning. You'll see things such as physical action, communications, and executive functions. This phase can also include scaffolding. And then the last phase is engagement, the why of learning. This is where we want to evoke student interest, effort, and self-regulation. It's very important to let children choose how they demonstrate their learning to you in the style that fits them the best. So what should I consider in each section as I'm working on lesson plans? The representation section should have the following opportunities: activating prior knowledge, seeking alternatives to oral and auditory delivery, thoroughly describing and interacting with vocabulary words, highlighting big ideas and relationships, and supporting memory cues. Things to look for in the engagement section: tools and activities for physical response, navigation of content, both guided and individually, scaffolding when necessary, communicative opportunities, help with managing new content, and teaching and implementing strategies that are relevant to the content being taught. Finally, in the expression phase, which would sort of equate to the assessment phase in a traditional lesson plan, opportunities to create personal relevance, giving individual choices for learning demonstration, varied levels of challenge and support, and opportunities to collaborate and communicate with other classmates. Now let's review our survey results. To begin this professional development, I distributed a survey asking the teachers a few informal questions about their opinion of the Wonders curriculum. The first question asked about different learning styles. When teachers were asked if they felt Wonders reached all different types of learning styles, teachers were at a 50-50 split about this. Most felt that kinesthetic learning styles were not given enough opportunities in learning. The survey then went on to ask teachers to check the learning modalities that they most saw present in Wonders. As you can see, teachers felt that Wonders needed more kinesthetic activities. Oral fell just a little bit short of the other two, but auditory and visual learners definitely benefit from this curriculum, as most of the activities fit these learning styles. When other learning styles are not considered or met during instruction, many of the students miss out on their personal optimal way to learn. So now that we have a basic idea of what UDL is and how to apply it, how can I make my existing Wonders curriculum UDL friendly? How can we audit our Wonders curriculum to ensure that it follows the guidelines of UDL principles? The remainder of this video will give you examples on how to do exactly that. As you can see, this is a week in the second grade with Wonders. As we look at the scope of this week's lesson plans, it appears that we have a broad variety of learning activities that we can use with our class. While that is true, when you individually break it down and look at the components of UDL within each section or individual lesson, you can see that many learning modalities are not considered in each activity. This is where simple additions can make instruction more comprehensible and effective for all learners in the classroom. Let's take a look at an individual activity on identifying and generating rhymes. As you can see in the lesson plan to the left, we introduce the long A sound and teach the students how to make rhyming words. We then go into guided practice and have them stand up when they recognize rhyming word pairs. This is part one of an activity that is supposed to teach rhyming. The class is expected to not only recognize rhymes, but also generate them. This beginning phase will be the representation. As you can see, there are many opportunities for auditory and oral learners to learn. They are listening to teacher explanation when using auditory words to discover which ones rhyme. Something that you could do as a UDL support option for representation is to further activate rhyming knowledge by relating to Dr. Seuss books or poetry. Have students locate the words that rhyme in the text and point out their identifying features. Another idea would be to allow children to circulate the room and find a partner that can help them make a pair of rhymes to add a little more kinesthetic movement to the beginning phase. The guided practice section of the lesson has the students standing up if they recognize the word pairs as a rhyming word pair. Then ask them to simply think of words that rhyme with gain and pay. For the engagement phase of the lesson, students need much more opportunity to interact. Some UDL support options for engagement could possibly be giving students rhyming word pairs on cards. Have them find their rhyming partner and then say their words together. Keep a running chart of word pairs and have students identify key text features. They can even take turns underlining the word part that creates the rhyme. Let them rhyme with you to scaffold. The teacher can say one word and let the child answer, even if it is a nonsense word. This can be a great informal formative assessment as well. The expression phase of this rhyming lesson is listed below. It says to listen to the introduction as a class. Children are asked to simply identify rhyming words, or call volunteers to the whiteboard to complete the activity as a class. While these are great options, there are many other options you could add for UDL support to make it friendly for more learners. Taking it further for each learning modality in the last phase of instruction is key. Allow oral learners to make a list of rhymes and read aloud as assessment. You could allow auditory learners to listen to word pairs and identify the rhymes, just as the lesson said. You could allow visual learners to put rhyming puzzles together or match cards with rhyming pairs written on them. And you could allow kinesthetic learners to create their own rhyming word pair cards or a book. Most importantly, something that's important is to let them choose how they want to demonstrate their learning. This will prove the most effective because they will be in the modality that they are most comfortable with. Now it's your turn to try. As teachers, we know trying things that are new sometimes can be daunting when we have so many other things that we're responsible for. But remember to review the chart that I'm listing on the next slide. Consider what types of opportunities the students need in each phase of teaching. Consider all of the student challenges that you have in your personal classroom. Then add in activities that would help enhance the lesson and reach everyone. Before we do some independent activities, let's take a moment to review this chart that was shown earlier in the presentation. You'll find examples of what to expect in each phase of UDL instruction. We're going to look at another lesson from Wonders, and to practice UDL implementation, we're going to come up with some additions on our own that would help the lessons become more friendly. Go ahead and take out your handout that was given at the beginning of the session. For phase 1 representation, Let's take a look at this excerpt from a Wonders lesson. Word sort with long A. Model. Display the following spelling word cards one at a time. Nail, train, may, hay, stay, break, stake, weigh, slay, and pray. Have the children read each word, listening for long A in the middle or at the end of each word, and create a 5-column chart with the spellings. Are there any ways that we could enhance this by using UDL principles? Refer to your chart and jot down a couple of suggestions as to how we could enhance the representation phase. Phase 2, engagement. Guided practice. Have the children place spelling word card in the column with the correct spelling of long A. When completed, have the children chorally read the words in each column. Call out a word. Have a child find the word card and point to it as the class chorally spells the word. And to build fluency, have children chorally read words to build fluency. Then conclude by asking children to generate additional words that rhyme with the spelling words. List them in the correct columns and emphasize the long A. Even though there are some great opportunities to practice in this phase of the lesson, what else could we add to adapt this lesson to enhance the engagement phase for students? Phase 3, expression. Class presentation routine. We're continuing the word sort. In the activity, listen to the introduction as a class. Children are asked to sort their spelling words. Call volunteers to the whiteboard and complete the activity as a class. You may want to assign this activity to children or pairs of children for practice or a computer center activity. How could we extend this and adapt this lesson to enhance the expression phase for more learners? Let's record our ideas. Please record your answers on your handout that was given. Feel free to speak with a colleague or group to get their ideas as well. We will use these handouts as guidelines when we do our one-on-one coaching sessions throughout the coming weeks. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about UDL, the implementation, or strategies, please let me know. I am more than happy to help. The most clip art was found through PowerPoint image search. These specific links come from Google Images, and these are the image and content credits that were used in the presentation.